Hello everyone, welcome to our second episode of the Tyria Weekly. I'm Oziriz and I'm joined by Mr. McCheeze over here,
Hello everyone.
who actually got a webcam this time.
I actually bought a webcam for this, yeah. Trying it out for the first time and it is awkward. Like really, my eyes will just be, okay, I'm going to look at this, my screen, my other screen, yeah, you'll see a very confused me today.
Yes, indeed. But yeah, Guild Wars 2 beta last weekend.
I think I remember something about that.
Yeah,
It was pretty cool.
yeah, it was, I enjoyed it very much. I didn't have that much time on my hands to play it. But or as much as I wanted to at least, but it was still very enjoyable.
Yeah. Yeah, same thing here really. It's just, of all bad weekends, that was probably the worst possible weekend to place the beta for my part. And we didn't actually manage to sync up very well. I mean, we weren't playing a lot together. Not as much as I'd hoped for.
But I think I personally made the mindset, I mean, we said this before, and that we were just going to play and then just record some stuff personally while we play. We didn't really make any plans to do it together at any point. So, but that's something we want to do for the next beta. But
Yeah.
we'll get to that later in the episode.
Yeah.
What is the most awesome thing you've experienced last weekend? What is the thing that you thought, wow, this is really cool?
Oh, that is a good question. To be honest, this is not even a part of the game, but the stability of the servers and the overflow system was actually the two things that surprised me the most, because this was their biggest event by far. I mean, they had I have no idea about the numbers, but you know, like the pre-purchase was the pre-purchase keys were sold out in North America and stuff like that, and we incidentally started on a North American realm by accident, which was totally not my fault.
No, it wasn't.
That was awkward, but so all this thing into consideration, their servers were running smoothly. They had some login issues during the first night, but apart from that, it was great. I had expected crashes. I had expected not to be able to play for the entire weekend. I had expected a great amount of lags and all that. And the only problem I had technically was actually, well, besides from the login servers, that the game isn't probably optimized that yet. There was some lag spikes, and well, of course, there was some problems when a lot of people were in the same area.
Yeah, you know, login servers, but something like that's to be expected. I mean, it's the first time that they handle so many people at the same time, and stuff like that is bound to happen. I mean, it is a beta test after all. So, but I agree. The servers itself, especially the overflow system, is probably the most genius invention ever for an MMO. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of MMOs can learn from that to do it like that. Even though it didn't work properly, but Internet actually stated this, that it is not working as intended right now because people in parties were not sent to the same overflow server. But they also stated that there were some fixes for it, where if you went into the main city, you would go into different servers where you would be together, and then the party leader had to go out first, and then team ended later, and then you would actually get together. But that also didn't work every time. But they are working on that. So if they make that work properly, then I think that is just a really good thing for MMOs to come as well.
Yeah. So that was just the technical side of it. Well, what did you like the most?
It's hard to say really. There's really many factors that I liked, but I think it was just the feeling of the world itself, that you could just walk out and do whatever. It's not like pick up quests everywhere and follow the circles on the map. Sure, there were those renowned hearts on the map where you could go to and then help out, but you weren't forced to. You could just walk around and explore, and all these points of interest everywhere where you would constantly make progress through your whole leveling experience. I think that's the coolest part, where those things pop up on the right side of your screen saying, oh, you are a red killer, or you have killed so many things, and you're constantly getting updates from the game that you're actually doing something, and I really like that.
Mm. It was kind of overwhelming, actually. I mean, it worked well in the sense that it gave you it gave you a constant sense of progress, and it gave you this sense of, wow, there's a lot to do in this game. Wow, there's all these things that are constantly going on.
Yeah.
That was very cool. A bit overwhelming, perhaps, because half of the things I had no idea what that was about. It was just, well, you have now completed some part of whatever, some other part of your daily whatever, or you have now all this stuff that I wasn't that much into. So, but it was cool. I mean, and it wasn't like intruding on the gameplay in any way. It was just, yeah, as you said, taking up in the right hand side of the screen.
Yeah, I think getting into the game took me a little bit, because I started out Friday evening with a Thief, and it was so overwhelming, the amount of people, and then also having to learn the game and like just grasping what the fuck is going on around you. It really took a while to get used to the style of gameplay, but when I got used to it, like the dodge mechanic and your weapon switching, which you'll get at some point, and then it just suddenly something clicked with me, and it's like, yeah, this is really good. But it took me a while to get into it, really. But
yeah,
in the end, I don't know, it's good.
It did. I don't even think I didn't really got that far into it. I mean, I learned kind of like to dodge, but I use dodge in a completely wrong way. Sometimes I'll be like, okay, I have to avoid this attack. That's fine. That's how you are meant to use dodge. But a lot of times it was just like, I want to move over there a bit faster because I'm slowed or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's just like, I'm just going to use my dodge, and then the mob starts in some huge attack, and I'm like, oh god, I'm screwed.
Yeah, but also something I noticed, right? The difficulty in the game, mobs hit a lot harder, but also they tend to heal themselves, and a lot of mobs had like different attacks, like they would do a whirlwind and they pull you towards them and knock you down and all that stuff.
It seems like
something you generally don't see in a starting level, at least. So
yeah, it seems like the mobs actually had abilities kind of like the players had, perhaps not that wide an array of abilities, but yeah.
Yeah, well, I've heard a lot of people that went into PvP and then came back and they suddenly got a lot better at PvE because there is so much similarities between the two, really.
I could imagine that, actually. And that is one of my big regrets, actually, that we tried out some World, and we have a little 1 hour movie of our first impressions of the World up on YouTube. But that was a bit too many players there, so you didn't really get to test your skills or get better in one-on-one combat or anything like that. So I'd really like to try the smaller battlegrounds or arena system, or
Yeah, I think so too. The 5v5 looks like a lot of fun as well. Especially like the whole server browser thing seems pretty genius as well. I have to get into that next time. And I also want to do some more exploring, because this time I just really focused on getting those hearts complete and just moving around like that. But there's a lot of stuff I missed. I've seen some videos where people find all these weird caves with puzzles in them, and it's like, damn, I missed that.
Yeah.
But
exactly. Yeah, I did a bit too much of the personal quest, I think. Well, it ended up giving me an awesome sword, which helped a lot of my DPS. But besides from that, I don't know. I was still stuck in the old MMO, way of doing things, which is like, so I got a quest, and I got a quest marker on my map. Of course, I got to go do that quest, man. What else?
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of people had that problem, especially with those hearts as well, because they walk to that heart, because they think that, ooh, that's where I have to go, and then they do that. And then they will do everything in the area for their level, and then they suddenly like, okay, I want to move to the next area, but I'm not high enough level.
Yeah.
If people have been complaining about that, but that's because they don't understand that that's not how it works. There are dynamic events that go around, and it's points of interest, and all the waypoints and the skill points that you can get. All those things give XP, and people need to learn to just...
Actually,
a
very minor thing. you know, the way so you have the XP bar on the bottom, that's pretty standard. But the way it filled up, like every time you did anything that gave you experience, it was just like, it was very visual, the effects of you getting more experience. Like there was sound effect, and there was a flash that you could see the bar increase, quite obvious. I actually think that worked out very nice. Normally, so you'll have, perhaps it will say how much experience you gain, or perhaps you won't even notice. You'll just notice that you like level up sometimes. But I think they did a very good job of actually making it very obvious when you got more experience to doing stuff.
Yeah, but I think in general the game was pretty good at telling you what was going on. Like the UI elements really worked well together. I mean, the game generally doesn't hold your hand in the sense that it tells you what to do, but it does give you feedback on what you're doing.
Yeah.
So it's really easy to figure out.
Two very different things, and they did it the right way. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, talking about questing. I mean,
traditional. Just like sketch the plan, if you will.
Yeah, sure.
So, well, yeah, what we'll be talking about today is just, well, more or less what we have been mentioning now. We'll try to go in a bit more depth about the individual topics, and we can't cover everything, sadly, because we didn't try everything. I mean, we didn't try that much exploring, for instance. We didn't try the 5 vs 5 PvP. We didn't try any dungeons for that matter, and we didn't really make it out of the starting areas for real. So that's kind of some things that we can't comment on. But that is also things that we'll be aiming at, exploring in the next beta. So, but yeah, we have a rather long list of topics still.
Yeah, but so what do you want to start with?
Well, you started on you said questing a moment ago. I think it's fine. So
yeah, we pretty much touched the personal story and hearts already, I think. So you have your personal story that you just start off with that straight away, and that continues along when you level, and that is just, you need to reach a certain level in order to progress, and they're often like inside an instance or inside the world that you need to do stuff, and there are a lot of cutscenes and stuff like that are involved with that.
It actually worked pretty well for my part. I don't know if I felt that engaged in the whole story thing. I mean, I played a Norn Guardian for the most part, and I don't know. I wasn't playing it for the storyline when I went through it. It was just something I did because that's like what you normally do, right? Mm-hmm. And I didn't find it that great or immersing, but it was fine. I think it worked very well. Like, so there was parts where, as you said, you run around in the open world with all players, and when you're doing that, I mean, you're not in a rush to get it done actually, so you can stop on the way and join in on a dynamic event or whatever you want to do. So that's fine. Then they had these small, more controlled instances, as you said, and that worked very well too. I mean, just your own little personal mini part of the world where you have to go do something. And to be honest, I actually found some of those to be quite hard.
Yeah. Well, I had the privilege of not being alone, and you can actually invite other people to your personal quest to help out. So that's quite cool. But the maps were quite hard hitting. But I think it's cool that they just have that, to evolve your story, and I think they can do some cool stuff with that. Of course, we only experienced early levels, so not everything is going to be mind-blowing, but they can do some pretty cool stuff with that, I think.
And it's something that, I mean, this personal quest of yours, that is something you will keep progressing on all the way up until your max level, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And beyond, I'm guessing patches and expansions.
I hope so. Yeah, hopefully. But I think it's kind of cool that you have this kind of focus point when you level. Of course, it's up to every individual if they actually want to follow it or not. I don't think your progression is limited in any way by not following your personal quest.
No, it's not mandatory at all.
No, exactly. So that's fine. But I think it's cool that you have this story you're going back to, and then you're, well, joining in and other stuff in the world meanwhile.
Yeah, I think it's good. And then there's those hearts that we talked about. Now a lot of people, like I said, made the mistake that that's the main thing to do while you're in the world, but it's not really. I actually found them quite relaxing because often there were things like help out with the farm to water the plants, but you got like several things to do, right? It was not just like one thing. You could like either water plants or kill some worms in the ground or fight off attackers. But the cool part was that dynamic events that would come in often tied into that directly, so you do two things at the same time, and
Yeah.
it worked really well in my experience.
As far as I could tell, I mean, they were all right. I mean, it's very easy to get a full heart. Let's just get that straight. It could take down to what, like 15 minutes perhaps.
Yeah.
If you're fast, it varied a lot. So it wasn't that hard. And when you're done, you would unlock a vendor in the.
Yeah, the dude you helped out is the vendor. So it's basically just like the heart represents that little area there. So it actually kind of also makes some sort of story because you help out there and he'll remember you when you come back. Because that heart will be completed until the end of the game at some point. That doesn't reset at all. It's personal. It's kind of like the personal quest, but not in a cinematic way. Because even if you do it with several people, the only thing that goes towards completion of filling that heart up is from things that you do personally. So you could fill that bar halfway up, go away, and come back 10 levels later and finish it off. And I think that is pretty brilliant. You don't have to worry about quest logs and all that shit. So
no, indeed. It's only something you have to do, actually, if you really want to complete everything.
Yeah, it's also like tracked on your map and in your loading screens and.
Exactly. That's a cool feature. So every area has point of interest, which is it's some place you might want to go and see or whatever, or you might want to know about. So they put it there so players can see. Okay, I haven't been there. I'll go and then see whatever there is. And then when they've been there, hopefully they're like, okay, now I know what to do here, so you can go back to it later.
Yeah.
But that's one thing. Then they have
XP for that. Quite a lot of XP. Actually.
Yes, exactly. You get XP for that as well. Then you have the gateways, which is like
teleporters.
Points, teleporters, points where you can jump to real quickly. It costs a small sum of money unless you're in one of the major cities, but I guess in time that won't be an issue at all, and it's something you'll be using quite a lot, which is fine because there isn't the mount or anything in the game. So
I actually haven't found myself that I found that in any way disturbing my gameplay or something like that. I thought it was kind of nice to be able.
That you didn't have mount?
No, that you could just teleport, you know?
Yeah. It was alright. I didn't use them that much, which was fine, really. But sometimes it's just like, okay, I have to go down there anyways, and I mean, you have to like discover them before they unlock, right?
Yeah.
So they'll kind of you'll always have one nearby, more or less. And they also serve as graveyards when you go down and you die, and then you have to release or you'll respawn at a waypoint. So. And then so we have the point of interest, we have the waypoints, and then we have these hearts that we talked about. And they all tracked on each map. Is there more? And
the skill points.
Oh yeah, right. So
that's something I also find really amazing, by the way, just that they put those out everywhere in the world, and you can basically get this dot on the minimap. You'll see them beforehand, and you just go there and you get a challenge to earn your skill points. Sometimes you get a book and you learn it. Sometimes you need to fight the dude. Sometimes you need to gather something for him or whatever. And I don't know.
From what I could tell, it wasn't very difficult.
No, but it's meant to be. It's just for its purpose of exploring.
It's fine. And you want the skill points because you can buy new skills or new abilities with that, which you can use.
Yeah.
But this is more or less totally off topic now. My whole point was just that there was these things on the map which you can, and they are in each zone, and you have to like go and fill up all the hearts and explore all the points of interest and all that to complete that zone, if you will.
Yeah.
And they track that, so you can always see what you're missing in a zone, and you will probably, I mean, you're getting XP for discovering them, right? And you'll probably get an achievement or whatever when you actually have done everything there's to do in a zone. I didn't manage to do that in any of the zones, I'll admit. So, and it's very easy to see when you like zone into a new zone. Yeah, that's brilliant. But the loading screen will actually show you how much you have done in the zone and how much you have to do.
Yeah.
Great.
But yeah, that works well. And then there's the dynamic events, which are basically just happen randomly around the world. They pop up and you need to either fight them off or attack something. And the cool part is, I think, is that they're just part of a chain. And a lot of people didn't know this or didn't understand this because they moved on after a dynamic event. So centaurs would attack your village and you would fight them off successfully or not. I've actually seen events fail, by the way. But
you did?
Yeah, but if you fight them off, you often have to wait a little bit and you either get like, a person that needs escorted to a next area or something, or the town is pending attack back to the centaurs or something like that, and it's this huge chain that often ends with some bosses, and I think that's pretty damn cool, actually. It works really well.
Yeah, so there was kind of two different kind of dynamic events that I noticed, which was the one that seemed to be progressing actually, and then the ones that
were just
didn't get anywhere. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'm almost convinced that all the events has multiple steps in them, but there was just so many people on the beta realms that some events would just never get started really because, well, something happens, but there are so many players that they just stomp all over the place, and then the event won't really get anywhere.
No.
But I also have participated in a rather cool one up in some mountain peaks where we had to attack a tower, and I got up there on my own, and there was a couple of guys. It was just way too difficult for me to handle on my own. But then more people started gathering, because it was on the minimap and on the map. It was very obvious that something was going on. So after a while, it was enough to actually engage this mob, and we killed it. So a bunch of NPCs showed up, took control over the tower. Or where there actually was some NPCs, but they'd been killed, so we could rest those afterwards. But we took control of the tower and then advanced forward into like a base camp of the enemies and killed everyone there. Took control of the base camp and then faced some huge dragon demon thing in there, which was like the leader of them all, and had a great fight there. It was very cool.
Yeah.
So dynamic events were actually. They work surprisingly well. It became very naturally, quite fast, just to see, okay, something is nearby. You'll notice that on the right hand of the screen, and then you press the map up and say, okay, it's going on right there. I'll just join in.
Yeah. I thought so too. I think that worked really well. It'd be a lot of fun as well. Some of them not as hard, but a lot of them were pretty decent. But I think also, like you said, there were a lot of players in the start. And I started a new character on Saturday, and I already was playing with a lot less people, and it worked out a lot better then. So it's just gonna have to, sort itself out at some point, because
it will. It surely will. And it was. I think it was quite obvious that it scaled.
Yeah.
With the amount of people there.
Yeah, I often got one shot by mobs because there were so many people.
Exactly. There'll always be people. That was pretty cool. It didn't, like, in the first day, people weren't that good at resing, but, like, on Sunday when I was playing, there'll be, like, 5 people standing on top of you and res you whenever you died.
Yeah. Also something you get XP for, by the way.
Exactly. I have very good XP for it, and I quickly realized that when there was a lot of people at some event and there was a boss guy, usually he would do some kind of AoE around himself, which means that if I was in there stepping at him, I would most likely die, because I were kind of going a bit, I were getting to places where I shouldn't be. That wasn't within my level range. So instead I would just be running around the boss and help people up who had died, and that was the way I helped.
Yeah. Yeah, I rescued some people as well. Sometimes I got so sucked into what I was doing that I didn't really pay attention. But it it's a good mechanic, and I think it works well with teamwork and stuff like that. It works well. So crafting, what have you tried any of that? Because I have.
A little. I gathered some stuff, but it took me like forever to figure out where to buy the gathering tools. So you need an axe to cut down wood. You need some kind of scissor-ish thing
Scythe, I think it's called.
Yeah, probably right. To like pick up plants and herbs, and you need a mining pickaxe to mine, logically.
Yeah, it's something you cannot buy at every vendor, and Internet has stated that they're gonna fix it. So
yeah, they are. So it's all well and good, but they were hard to come by in the beginning of the beta, and I actually had to look it up where I could buy this tool.
Yeah,
and
same.
So I got off to kind of a late start and didn't have a lot of materials on me.
But I didn't see that there's not a level to it or something. You can just gather everything you want. You don't have to be a certain level, I think. And you can gather everything you want as well. You don't need to have it's not a skill that you pick up. It's just like you get the tools and you gather everything in the world, and everyone has their individual stuff. So if one mine would like pop up on the mini map and 15 people walked over it, all those 15 people can mine it, and I think that is really brilliant.
It's that's a good thing. Kind of keeps things from being out mined and keeping air from being totally stripped by resources. That's very good. And yeah, I just
yeah, but as you can see here, I'll share my screen. You can see it now again, I think.
Yeah, it's loading. That's a minor Skype issue.
I have actually done some crafting, and it's fairly simple, but the cool part about it is the exploring or finding recipes. So you can combine certain elements to find a recipe. And it's usually 3 or 4 components you need to add together in order to make something, like you see on the screen now. I tried to combine some. I didn't have enough different stuff to combine something, but I think it works pretty cool, and that's how you like find recipes a lot of the times. But another cool part is with the crafting that if you queue up a lot of things, like smelt ore or something, the first one will go slow, and then the second one will go faster, and then depending on how many you have, it will go really fast. So you don't have to wait for forever.
Yeah, true. That's a brilliant system, and every game should have that, because just standing around while you're melting ore, that is not the most engaging activity, really.
No.
But yeah, hopefully crafting is something I'll pick up on in the next beta, because I'd like to see it some more and learn. I never got the whole combining stuff to work, and I only crafted a very few pieces of some armor or whatever. So
yeah, I crafted staff and some stuff, but you get XP for that as well, by the way.
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
But to me it seemed a bit standard. You know, hopefully it will be better when I actually sit down and get into it, and when I start to look into all these materials I gathered, because as you said, you can gather every materials in the game, and that got kind of overwhelming. And also, like, you would pick up some materials from mobs, as far as I could tell, and you could
salvage items.
Salvage items. It was just crazy.
The cool part about that is, I'll show you here. Actually, I can't show you that, but apparently, when you loot an item that goes into this common crafting tab here from the bank, you can right-click the thing in your bag and then select put it in this tab directly in your bank. So yeah, you basically have your normal bank, which is, by the way, a very nice UI, because your backpacks are shown straight away next to your bank. But then there's a secondary tab where, I don't know, you can collect things and one of them is common crafting materials, and you see everything there already, and you can just stack everything in there. And I think it's just they do two things in one. Is either you can put all your crafting stuff there, but it also works towards some kind of achievement or something like that, collectibles. Because you also have cooking materials, and then there's also pets underneath there if you scroll down. Then I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's awesome. Backspace isn't exactly what you got most of, really.
No.
I was running, especially because of all the crafting materials, I was running out of inventory space so fast. It was crazy. So in the end, I just decided to skip most of what I got because I simply wouldn't be looking into the crafting anyways.
No.
But that's great. That's really great that I can just deposit it there right away. That should help a whole ton, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, that works really well. And if you can just deposit it straight away, that would be really cool.
Yeah.
And to think, this is an account vault as well. This will be showable on all your characters.
Nice.
So while we're talking about UI, the mail is also built into your UI, which I find quite awesome as well. There's no trading in the game, but people are screaming that they want that, so maybe an arena will build it in, but apparently you have to mill everything right now, which
that's
kind of harsh because some people have weird names and it's kind of, yeah. And then
trading just seems like a thing you want in the game. I mean, that's part of the social aspect of the game, so.
Yeah, and then here, while this is playing, this is the auction house, so that's also built into your UI. You don't have to go somewhere, it's just built into UI. And you click on this trading post and you get all these things that are sold most and look most valuable, and it seemed pretty extensive, the system. And the fact that it's just built into your UI is also, again, very nice.
Yeah, very handy.
Yeah. I just thought that was really cool.
But it's very cool all this. I never got around to well, I didn't look at the bank, I didn't look at the trading post or anything actually.
No, I didn't plan on either, but I was doing my walking to finish reach and this is where I ended, so I just figured look into it.
But it's also, it seems logical that you want to have, well, your trading post that close at all times, because with all the gathering materials you'll be ending up with, you would probably want to sell some of them.
Yeah, or if you get a good drop, like a drop, some sort of drop, and you want to sell it immediately, you just put it in an auction house and be done with it.
Yeah, because usually, well, speaking from my experience in World of Warcraft at least, then I'd either have to go back to the city and remember I had this item in my inventory and remember that I should not sell it to a vendor, not disenchant it, not whatever else. Remember to go back to the city, put it on the auction house, and then hopefully it would sell, because if it wouldn't sell, then, oh god, I had to go back again. Or I could have a stupid alt for it, and this is just, why not skip all that?
So there's an interesting fact that apparently you can make this, every crafting profession or trade can make some sort of bag, and there was this one that could make like this box that would lock your items into that, and whenever you open a merchant to sell stuff, it will not pop up on that screen.
But doesn't that... It's all fine because...
No, but that's nice for your gear and stuff like that, if you have different amounts of gear then.
It is, but then again, why not build that directly into the UI when you have everything else?
I guess, but I know, but you don't want to oversimplify everything. I mean, there's some stuff that still needs to be made and stuff, so...
Yeah.
Gives people a bit of feeling that they can do something. Yeah.
It's true, and you want to keep professions meaningful somehow. I mean, if you can't keep professions meaningful in some way, then I'd question the reason for them to be there in the first place.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Exactly.
Hopefully it'll make sense in the end.
Yeah.
And just you mentioned the mail thing. Didn't you feel that sometimes you were getting kind of spammed?
Yes, but you only get mail after you complete a renowned hard or dynamic event, I think, or something like that, because they send you the gold reward that you would normally pick up at the quest dude.
Mm-hmm.
So, But yeah,
But you do
maybe
that more or less all
have
the time. So.
maybe have an option that you can turn off the splash in your screen or something like that. That would be nice.
Yeah, because I stopped. So just to make it perfectly clear, whenever you at least whenever you get like a full heart or something else happens too, it might be complete dynamic events or whatever. But you'd get a mail from the guys you have been working for, and and you'll get this huge flash animation on your screen where it's like very obvious that I've gotten a mail, and that's all fine. But in the end, in the beginning, I was like, "Cool, I got a mail," and go click and read it, and hey, cool, I got another mail. Go, and in the end, I just stopped caring about it. Just started to ignore it. So at the end of the beta, I had like 19 unread mails because, God, it was kind of annoying, to be honest.
I didn't think it was that annoying really, but I don't know. Why not? If it's like a money reward, but I guess it's the RP part that they send a mail with a thank you and a bit of lore in there. So
yeah, and I guess it's alright if you're not aware of it. You know, if it's like, oh, I didn't even notice, then sure, it's good that you get it. But yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a huge issue, and of course it's not something that'll be bothering you as much when you're like done with all this stuff, but it was a bit much perhaps. So.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much the UI. I think the UI in general is just, besides all those features, it's pretty. I love how minimalistic it is. I'm a person that likes that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah.
But I guess their whole design with only having 5 skills per weapon works perfectly fine with that. So. But yeah.
The UI was fine. It didn't bother me, and it felt good. It felt responsive and all that.
And a good feedback. Yeah. Good.
Yeah. And easy to use, logical to use as well. There was just, you had to learn, like, okay, so you have your hero tab, right, when you press H, and then more or less every information you need is placed in tabs in your hero window.
Yeah.
So once you learn that, it was kind of smooth.
Yeah. Leveling, the curve of leveling and stuff, did you have any problems leveling at some point, like some people had?
As I mentioned, I did actually kind of out-level the zone I was in. And
you out-leveled it?
No, the reverse. The inverse of that.
You were too low to go to the next area.
Yeah, exactly. I got to the next area too fast, and it was kind of like, so there was a pretty wide range of levels just within a single zone. I think it's like 10. It's a level difference of 10 between the first events and then the last events in the zone.
Yeah.
And the zones are, well, they're very open, so I was just like running a bit back and forth, and then exploring a bit and participating in events, and all of a sudden I was just up in these areas where the maps were easily 5 to 6 levels higher than me.
Yeah.
And at that point it started to get a bit hairy to actually survive. It was, I don't know. What actually bothered me about it was that it wasn't obvious to me how I should avoid getting in that situation, because I think at that point I had gotten all the hearts in the area. I had done my personal quest up to that point more or less, and I had participated in more or less any events I could find. I hadn't done any crafting, which admittedly gives you XP as well, and perhaps I should have done a bit more exploring of some places. But I had done more or less everything there was to do, and yet I was too low level when I get to that place. So that means, for me anyways, I had to go back a bit and then do some of the events that I've been doing already. But yeah.
Yeah.
How did you experience the same?
Yeah, I had some problems as well. One of the videos that I actually uploaded to YouTube shows that I was level 9 at a 13 event, but I didn't have much trouble there. But you're right, there's some sort of problem with that, and I think they need to do a minor tweak. But it totally depends on how you play. If you go to all the starting areas, because you can just take the portal to the next starting area and do that, then I think you'll be fine. But some people just don't want to do that, and they'll run into a little bit of problems.
Included.
Yeah, me included as well. So I think they're gonna have to do a little bit of tweaking there.
Maybe, but then again, if they, as it works right now, I mean, if I was actually at the right level when I got up there, then I would be complaining that I was leveling too fast right now.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of a weird thing, because some of the dynamic events, they were large. They really filled, well, they were taking place within a pretty big area. So I don't know. Perhaps they should just have more dynamic events that could take place in the same area and then have a good diversity.
Yeah.
Between those.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if that's the place. I don't think I saw any events taking place in the same area, except if it were like the same event that had more stages to it.
Yeah. So and then there's going back to other content with like lower level content, the scaling. What do you think of that? Have you experienced any of that besides the World v World where you get skilled up? Have you experienced any downscaling?
Yeah, I think I did, but that was mostly so. As I leveled up, I went back to an area I had been in because I wanted to do some personal quest that has been bugged on me earlier. So I went back, and the mobs wasn't easier when I was fighting them. So I guess and if that's the case, then I guess the downscaling works.
Yeah. Actually, I thought it was really cool because at some point I was walking around to explore, and it was low level area, and I was just killing, like, it didn't feel any different, and then I was looking at my screen, I was like, oh wait, I'm downscaled to level 3, and and I think that works really well, actually. I think they did a really good job with that.
Now, this is actually something I didn't notice. Where does it say what level you are? And
so next, on the bottom left, it will say what your level is, 7, and then next to that it will say in green what level you are between like 2 brackets.
Okay.
So level 3, that you're downscaled to level 3.
That wasn't immediately obvious to me, at least. So that was,
no.
It wasn't a huge pain when I was like downscaled, because.
But it doesn't need to be.
In a world where there isn't. No, it doesn't have to be obvious, but. No, I don't think I'm going anywhere with this. No, it's fine. Just carry on.
No, it's just like, because it's not like an option that comes in, ooh, you're going into a lower level area, do you want to be downscaled? No, you're going in there, you're getting downscaled, and you don't really have to notice it because you're getting downscaled anyway, so whatever, you know?
Yeah. It's completely right.
Yeah.
So it worked smooth, I guess.
In PvP as well, I guess. The biggest downside in PvP is that against a real 80, you're gonna have some trouble, because he's gonna have his full trade skills and all his utility skills and elite skills and stuff like that. So you're gonna have a disadvantage at a lower level, but your HP gets upped, which helps a lot for survivability, I guess.
Yeah, but I don't mind that as much, mostly because, you know, there isn't any world PvP, there isn't any ganking outside in the world and all that stuff, so it's not a problem you'll run into unless you participate in PvP. And as far as I could tell, it wouldn't take you too long to actually get like a full skill set.
No, and I think like level 10 could easily kill level 80 if you're a good player, even though you don't have those elite skills and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I agree. Positioning and movement and all that means a ton in PvP combat, as far as I can tell. So it's not just 2 guys standing on opposite sides and just hitting each other. There's a lot more to it than that, and that hopefully means that you can. Well, that skill will mean a lot.
Yeah, and in Conquest PvP is a bit different, but you get all your abilities, and you can just make your character however you want, which we'll look in next time. I can't really say anything about it, how that works, but that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
At least. Dungeons, we can also not really talk about that because we haven't done any.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't. Where were the dungeons? I didn't actually notice them.
No, but I think the first dungeon is at level 30, so you don't really...
Oh, yeah, okay. But wasn't the cap on beta like 25, 20?
I don't know. Really don't know.
I
Might
actually
have
don't
been
remember.
20, but I don't know.
Or perhaps it was actually 30. Never mind.
I think it was 20.
I would really like to see a dungeon for next time, for sure.
Yes.
Uh,
Then we'll go see
yeah.
how important professions will be in their own right, because yes, you will be able to do everything with 5 of the same profession, but how important are trade lines going to be, and how important are the professions themselves are going to be? It's going to be
I
interesting.
guess that's also going to be a place where you will have to learn to use different abilities. I mean, because so when I got this two-handed sword that I talked about, right? It turned out to be a major DPS increase for me because that was then all the abilities, or more or less all the abilities at least I unlocked, were very DPS orientated. Whereas when I were running around with a one-hander and a shield or an offhand or something, I would be a lot more utility based or defensive based.
Yeah,
So
but
I mean, you
it's so important, your weapons. I found that out. Like, melee were complaining that they're so squishy and stuff like that, but the arena also stated that melee damage in general does more damage than ranged DPS.
mhm.
So it's balanced out that way, and they really said as well that once you learn how to control your melee character, that you'll make a huge difference. And I think the game is just balanced around that you need to use both. You can't just be a pure melee guy, because you need to be able to adapt to your situation.
Yeah.
If you are in melee with someone and suddenly you're getting jumped by so many guys, you need to be able to dodge out, go to your ranged weapon and slow them down and cripple them, and then maybe charge back in with your melee weapon. And I actually, my warrior got pretty good at that, and it worked well to not stay in melee very long, but just get out some damage and jump back out again and do your ranged stuff. And I think
Oh yeah.
that
If
works. That works really well.
if only I had learned to weapon swap properly. I learned of course and I set up 2 weapon sets, but I hardly actually used them that much. And
No,
I really
I
think
saw
that'll
in your
be one.
video that you didn't. You just stayed with your two-handed sword all the time. And
Yeah, exactly right. And I really think that'll be one of the they'll make a huge difference when you learn to switch weapons on the fly, because then oh, this is not going very good. I'll just swap to my support or whatever utility set and
yeah,
use that for a while. Yeah, that is something I'll have to learn a lot. But it also comes down to that you really need to learn what abilities you get for each weapon and each offhand and all that, right?
yeah, exactly.
And what suits your playstyle and which extra skills do you unlock
Yeah,
and how do they
in
fit
which
in? I mean,
situation? Yeah,
exactly. There's
but
so many ways to combine all of this.
because every weapon or every profession has like slow abilities and cripple abilities and all that stuff. So you really need to learn how to adapt to your situation.
Hmm.
But it's gonna be interesting to see like how different it's gonna make. Like if you're walking around with a group of 10 people who really know what they're doing and communicating really well, and then they meet like 30 people that are just random from the server, if they're gonna be able to beat those guys because they're just better players. It's gonna be
Yeah.
interesting to see how that's gonna work out.
So I mean,
Because
we tried the Walrus World, and I perhaps wasn't too happy about it at the time, which may or may not be obvious from the video. Um, but I saw later that one of the guys from Gamebreaker had been doing the same, but they actually had a rather large organized group, and they have been having a ton of fun. So
yeah,
I really think that it's a lot about how you're playing, of course, who you're playing with, and what you choose to do. Because perhaps we shouldn't have been assaulting castle. Perhaps we should have been focusing more on other stuff. There's so much to learn yet, you know.
yeah, yeah. I think so too. And the server balance is also an issue, I guess, in the start. So, but yeah, I think larger people, if you could play with like 10 to 20 people together, or even more than that, then I think that will be a lot of fun. So
Hmm.
maybe
And
next
being
time we should just
organized.
join a guild and then go with some random people and then just organize some sort of group or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that might be worth it. Try and look into if there's like a PvP guild or something that we could join and have some fun with.
Yeah.
That's actually a pretty good idea. Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, it's just. You know what's funny? I've been playing the beta almost without my headset on or with sound on because I was playing together with my girlfriend, and you know it's kind of awkward to have a headset on. So I didn't really listen to any of the sounds and the voices. And when I made my videos and I listened to the sound, I actually realized how awesome the music was and how everything made sound. Like the windmills, like you could hear them really well, and like people talking in the cities and just saying like random funny comments. And I think next time I'm just gonna keep my headset on. And tell my girlfriend to have it on as well, and we'll just use Skype or whatever, or C3.
Yeah, do that. I mean, that was so cool. The music and the sound effects and all that in the game were extremely well made.
Yeah.
And as I also mentioned a bit in my little video of Lion's Ark, there's so many conversations that NPCs can participate in, and there are so many NPCs as well, standing all around the cities, just talking about random stuff. It worked so well.
Yeah.
And I was like afraid that, okay, so they'll have a lot of NPCs talking together. Doesn't that just mean that they'll be repeating the same line over and over again?
Yeah.
But no, it didn't.
No.
Not from what I could tell.
But so many random stuff, like, you know, I actually saw this video about the Char in the main city that they were talking about overthrowing something and just, you know, bashing the current king and all that kind of stuff. And also I did my video on the Vintage Reach, and I listened, and I walked past this female and she said, I was born between these walls in the Vintage Reach and I'll probably die in them too. Like really cynical. And I thought this was really funny, stuff like that. And
yeah,
so like my brother moved to Lion's Arch, God knows why, and it's just these funny little things. It's just
so
very cool.
It kind of gives some personality to the NPCs that are there in the first place, right?
Yeah.
And it seems to be mostly well done as well. So
yeah,
I don't know. I could probably just walk around listening to that all day, and different kind of chatter or jokes or whatever they're doing.
And the world itself as well. Like it's been a long time that I got wowed by a world, because of the sheer size of this game. Everything is big. It's not. It doesn't feel like a corridor, or like especially if you play Star Wars, but also like WoW currently and stuff like that. You are very much linear path constantly, whereas here it just feels like this open world. Like you see this big ass windmill in the background, and you walk towards it, and it's actually fucking huge when you stand in front of it. And the city as well. Like it's just amazing how big scale everything is. It just feels really big and open. I like that.
Yeah. So, right. One of the thing is, well, the scale of everything is pretty big. You know, like you can see in the video right now as well that, okay, normally a house or a door wouldn't be that big. I mean, that could the doors are like twice your size or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So the scale, but that's very normal in MMOs to have a very big scale.
Well, if you think about it, there are Nords that are twice as big as this human that I'm playing. So.
Yeah. Okay. But then again, I came up with what's it called, the Whole Break, the Norn-Starring city.
Yeah, that's even
bigger.
Everything
was huge there as well.
Yeah.
Even bigger than Divinity's Reach, as far as I can tell from this video, at least. But that's one thing. The other thing is that the world is just big, and there's a lot of areas that may not be. Let me just try and start that over. So the thing is that from when you have been playing like World of Warcraft, you'll be used to that every area has a purpose.
Yeah. And
that purpose is usually to contain quests or something, right?
Yeah.
So that means that you go there, you'll do your quest, and then that'll be it. That is like the purpose of that area. it isn't as clear-cut in Guild Wars. There's a ton of areas that are just there, or where you have NPCs or have some vendors standing around and whatever, right?
Yeah.
But they might not have a specific purpose. They're just there because, well, it's a city, so why shouldn't there be areas like this? Why should every area has their
something
own...
to do? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's really true. Like, there are so many houses here. I mean, there are a lot of people that live in this world, and they live somewhere. So, you know, there are so many.
It makes sense that it's big.
This looks like a city because there are so many houses that are just there, and I think that's really cool. But same in the world as well. Like these little farms everywhere and like small towns, and it just feels really cool. They did a really good job on that immersion.
Yeah, I had a blast just trying to explore different areas and see where would I like go to next, right?
Yeah.
It almost made me want to skip content just to see. Well, I wanna go out and I want to see more of this. I don't want to hang around here and help you guys. No, screw you guys. I'm moving on.
Yeah, and it pretty much felt like this game. If you can see it, you can pretty much walk to it.
Yeah.
I mean, of course there will be limitations, but from what I've told, from what I've seen right now, it works like that. And it reminds me a bit of the feeling I have in Skyrim. Maybe Skyrim is obviously a bit more extensive still, but it's still get that feeling very well in this game.
Yeah, indeed. Even if the areas are not connected directly, like you can only go through specific areas to move on to the next area. It still felt very big.
Yeah.
And I don't remember seeing any like invisible walls or anything that was going to cut me off.
No.
So I guess that means that the area or the world is very well built.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Divinity's Reach is probably one of the best architectural cities I've seen in any game in a long time.
Yeah, I didn't go there. It looks awesome, to be honest.
Yeah, it is. It's when you walk into it, you see it in the distance, and then you walk into it and you think, well, that's big, and then you actually walk into it and you open your map like, oh wait, I just covered that little part of the map. And
well, it's just so yeah, I went to God damn it, now I lost it again. Non city. Holbrook, yeah. Okay, so that's of course I was there because though I was a non, right? And I was like hanging around in the middle of the city because that was where the crafting was going on and my trainer was and stuff like that. And it was just I would be coming down from the questing area and then I would be heading for some personal quest which was about the same place, just in the middle of the city.
Yeah.
And then later, when I was just doing nothing, I guess, I was walking a bit around in the city, and it was just huge. There was all these specified areas for their animal gods, which you didn't really notice because they were kind of like closed off on the map until you explored them at least.
Mm-hmm.
And you would walk down, and then suddenly there's a huge cave system, and suddenly there's this huge house honoring the bear god or whatever.
And all those caves were individual. There were no copy pastes or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've not seen a single thing duplicated in this game yet. I mean, sure, that will eventually pop up somewhere, but I have not seen it yet.
I saw a few things like some of the architecture out in the world.
Yeah.
Some of the buildings I would come across were the same, but that didn't bother me, and it was nothing compared to many other games I've played. So.
No, but I mean, buildings are often the same, so
yeah,
you could use that excuse, but especially like caves and stuff were completely different.
Yeah, probably true. I was only in one cave, more or less, which then contained some secret thing that I never got to the end of, sadly.
No.
But I'll make a video of it. To show it off, because it was actually a very cool place, and you had to like avoid. So you'll be jumping on rocks, and one thing is, of course, you'll have to be jumping one rock to the other, so you should not fall down. Was that the one
where there were ravens that kicked you off?
Yeah, exactly.
I thought that was really cool as well.
It was indeed, and I managed to fall down so many times.
Oh yeah.
I may not edit out of the video when I get to it, but.
Those little dudes down there that attack you that like suddenly disappear and then...
Yeah, oh god, they were annoying. when I was down there for the 5th time, whatever, they started to be.
But they were really random with those attacks as well. It was not like a pattern that was going on. It was like they disappeared and then randomly.
So, but that was a very cool place as well, and that was something I discovered because I actually went off track. So there wasn't really anything down in that area. I had gotten a skill point, and then instead of going back to where everything was going on, I was just, okay, I'll just follow like this cliff. And suddenly there was a very well hidden cave, and okay, I'll just try and go in there, and then they have this entire system, and then it just means, well, cool, you explored, you got something.
Yeah.
Or hopefully I would have gotten something if I made it to the end.
I've actually managed, if you go into a cave, that suddenly like a dynamic event pops up when you're in there. I've had that as well, and I thought that was really cool as well. Like this chain that suddenly started off.
Yeah, so some events seems to be triggered by players, right?
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, especially like escorts and stuff like that. There will be like a dude in the city saying, "Oh, I need help with this escort," and then someone has to start it. But then everyone can participate whenever along the way, so it's kind of cool the way that works. But coming back to that Divinity's Reach moment, I think the best way to compare it is the first time that I walked into Ironforge. That feeling, that's what I got, and it's been a long time since I've got a feeling like that in a game. So
yeah, you always need something bigger to surprise you or to like blow you away, right?
Yeah.
And Guild Wars 2 certainly is bigger.
Oh yeah, it's very, very much big.
Oh god damn it, now I can't wait for the next beta.
Yeah, I know, it's
just god damn it.
Horrible.
Do we have any words on when it will be?
No, they said that they're planning on once a month, so people are like, oh, once a month, but it's not even certain that it is once a month, but I think it's pretty safe to say that at the end of this month, the next one, but, well, I have to see. I actually think it's quite cool how they handle their beta. It's not like a lot of these MMOs like Star Wars and Terra and Rift, they all use those betas to promote their game pretty much. Like they went into open beta and the game was pretty much done, and then they just allowed everyone in, whereas Guild Wars 2 says, yeah, we have betas, but you need to pre-purchase the game and it's going to be one weekend, and then we're actually going to fix the game, and then we're going to bring out another weekend, and then you actually have to test the game, and we want feedback from you guys, and I think that's really cool.
I love that kind of betas. I mean, now, well, Blizzard has been doing it for a while, right? And it's, even if I haven't been in previous like World of Warcraft betas, but it's so lovely to see how players bring up concerns and the developers just respond to them directly, and you'll see them fixed within a couple of weeks. And that's what beta should be like. Beta is not promotion.
No.
That's called a demo. For the people out there who apparently don't know that. And so yeah, it's lovely to see. And I also I'm using Twitter a lot right now. So I was on Twitter and keeping track of what that was going on there, and they were very active, like posting solutions to different problems people had. So they had like,
they were on their toes. They were really good with their support.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, okay, if people are experiencing this issue, this and this, try and do this and that. And sometimes they were like, if other players had the issue and had fixed it somehow, they would just retweet their tweets and say, okay, so this guy fixed it, and great. Of course, it would require you to be on Twitter to actually benefit from it. I don't know what people.
Well, the forums were also well responded. You could see which one official ArenaNet person had responded to, because the little ArenaNet logo would be red in front of it, and that worked really well as well. But even from like previous press betas, they've changed things. Like there used to be this chest that would drop from mobs, and it would give an orb of experience, and the reason behind it was that people like opening things constantly, but people said, like, you know, that's a bit too much, and they actually removed that from the game after that, and they seem to be listening to good feedback, which is very important.
Yeah,
I think.
But it is also interesting to see how, so a few of the things we have been discussing, like the crafting tool stuff and the overflow server and stuff like that, that is concerns that they have already taken to heart and will be fixing.
Yeah.
So very cool. And I love betas like that because I just love that you're a part of this rather rapid development. You know, because when it goes live, things slow down so much because they have to focus on a lot of brand new content, which is fine, but it also means that you're not rolling out patches quite as often. And
no, but I think their system in place is pretty good. Like what they have under the hood, like their engine, and I think they can do things quite fast, and that's very important.
But being able to do them quite fast doesn't necessarily mean you will do them quite fast.
No, that's definitely true.
Because it can be dangerous to roll out fixes or changes in live realm.
Yeah.
Just like that. So.
But I remember right, but with Rift, that beta was so polished, it was pretty much done, and people said it as well. Oh my God, this is like the best beta ever. But yeah, that's not a beta. But like with them now, some things are not working. I think that's fine, because they're in beta stage, and that's just the way it works.
Some of the things I also love about a beta is that you kind of get a peek in behind the development of stuff. It wasn't that obvious in the Guild Wars 2 beta because that is very polished. I mean, they're obviously still fixing the game and partly because you'll see all these things that they're going to fix for the next beta, right? But
yeah.
But that's going back to Mr. Pandaria that I'm in right now, where you suddenly see, okay, so they have developer nodes inside quests or inside spells and all that stuff, and you just kind of get a look at, okay, this is how development is done.
There was a bug report in the game. I don't know if you noticed that.
That's true. That was very nice, and you're able to like take screenshots and stuff of your screen.
Yeah.
That worked out quite well. I used that a bit actually. Also a good idea to have that in the game because people will easily forget to go on the forum and post feedback or report bugs. It's so much easier just, okay, I can just do it right here while I'm playing. Cool.
That said, the things that are wrong with this game right now are so minor that it's not like the complaints that I have about the game are just like small things that they should change or will change, and it's not like causing me to dislike the game in any way.
No.
So
not really. I mean, it's gonna be nitpicking when you're trying to find errors, right? But that's good. And the worst thing you can do almost is to not point out problems, even if they're minor. Because if they're minor problems, well, great. It just means that there isn't any major problems to be concerned about. But let's just fix these last small things and make the game perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, and I hope they do that. They get it done. And I think that's also, they don't pressure themselves with a release date like a lot of games do. They just say, no, we'll release it this year, but it could be in a month, but it could be also December 2012 or something like that. So
yeah,
we'll have to see. I hope they just take their time and do things on their own.
Yeah,
path,
exactly.
So.
For I'd probably be happy if they didn't release it before or after the summer. Right now.
No.
Mostly due to my personal schedule and all that, right?
Yeah, I understand.
And I don't want you to get ahead of me in leveling.
No, that doesn't matter because I can just come back and help you. Because
yeah, but I can't turn up and help you.
No, but that doesn't matter that much. We could just PvP. No, yeah, but still I can come back and help you, and that would be more important. I mean,
yeah.
You don't want to skip content.
Well, you can always go back to it, so...
Yeah, that's very true. Actually.
It's fine. There has to be levels and all that stuff, of course. Yeah. I don't think we're quite there yet where we want
the sense of having to level needs to be there in that type of game. Like, ooh, exactly. I want to level up because I want to go to kill that boss.
It's a very obvious way of progression that works so well, right? So if you remove that from the game, you'll have to keep other ways of progressing, and people are used to that, and it works. It's not like work very well, so it might be a little bit too much to remove that entirely just yet.
Yeah.
They can do that for Guild Wars 3.
Yeah. Dynamic leveling.
Oh god. Like randomly when you go around the world, oh, now I'm level 8. Hey, now I'm level 13.
Go to like the latest dungeon and be level 80 and have everything available.
Yeah, exactly. When we leave, then you just nothing again. Oh, damn it.
I leveled to 80 in 5 days. Oh, that doesn't matter. I got there in 1 second because I just upskilled myself.
Yeah. Hey,
Wow.
I might as well not have.
I think ArenaNet has something going. I think their formula is pretty good.
Definitely have
I
something
think a lot of future MMOs are gonna have to take from them. It's a good direction that the world should head to. I think the MMO world. So
yeah. I only after the beta, well, there's a bunch of minor concerns. There is two, I wouldn't call them major, but two concerns I still have after the beta. One of them is that I'm afraid that dynamic events will turn out to be a bit. Well, you'll see the same dynamic events too many times, perhaps. I already participated in the same events up to 3 to 4 times in just this weekend. And I asked them on Twitter if this was the frequency we would be seeing dynamic events on Live Realm, and that was the current plan as it is right now. So I'm guessing that maybe you would be seeing the same events a bit too much, but then again, as we talked about earlier, some events just wouldn't get anywhere because there was so many players. So whenever it started, they would just stomp all over it, and then you'd be back to square one again.
There's also something though that some people said that you often do a dynamic event and you go like a little away from the area and your event won't pop up, and you come back and then the same event is going on, and that could basically mean what had happened was that you pushed the chain forward, and then the people that, because everyone left, the next one would have failed, and then it would be pushed back to the previous one, so you would have exactly the same dynamic event as when you came back. And that's often what happened with players, because they didn't realize that they could go on. But I guess some events are
that might be the case, and maybe when players are getting better, then that won't happen so often, because I have no idea how many stages a normal dynamic event is. So, and well, we'll have to see. But it was just a concern that I still have now after the beta,
Yeah.
And then the other concern I mentioned is end game, but well, of course they couldn't. I haven't experienced any end game, so I'm not any smarter than I was beforehand.
Well, I heard that like explorable dungeons are pretty hard. They're 5-man, but they won't have any raiding content like large scale raids, at least not instance. But they will have dynamic events that will require at least 10 people and a lot of organization. So it's going to be interesting to see how that's going to work out.
Yeah. But again, that is something we will hopefully see. I don't know how much they will actually let us test.
No.
If you'll be able to create max level characters at some point to be able to test endgame or higher level zones, or how it will work, but I don't know. It doesn't matter. After this weekend, I feel I have a lot of confidence in ArenaNet for sure.
Yeah, me too. So next beta event, I'm gonna make a new class or profession, sorry, and either necromancer or something else. I don't know what else. I think a necromancer or a mesmer. I think.
Mesmer, yeah.
But I think actually necromancer, because it's one of those professions that I think I will not play, and I just want to try it for the fact to prove myself wrong. That's going to be super awesome. Because that's what I had with the warrior, because I was very interested to try it, and I actually loved it to the point that I'm considering to play it. But let's see. I mean, there's so many options in this game.
Yeah, after your story about the warrior, I'm also considering just trying out like a ranger or some pet class just to see how that works, because I don't like pet classes. But then again, if they can do stuff so well, then maybe they've solved that problem.
Pet classes are very, like, your pet doesn't do much. It has like 1 or 2 attacks, but that's it really. But apparently the problem now is that it dies really fast. But my girlfriend played a ranger, and she really loved that class as well.
Okay.
But then she played an engineer, and she loved that even more. So
I wonder if that's just the way of it. You played the thief, and that was okay, and then you played the elementalist, and that was cool, and you played the warrior, and that was super awesome. That's just going to continue. So no matter you should start with the class you don't want to play, and then just
no.
Go on.
I think so. Elementalist is one of the coolest, at least on paper. It's so cool. The 4 attunements. Yeah. It's so unique, because but you always have your mage class, but they don't really have that. It's like completely different. But yeah, but that's with all the professions really, because your warrior is not your basic warrior, because you can use your bow and you can use a gun, and in most games you can use a gun like World of Warcraft, but it's just like one shot and it doesn't really do. You use it to pull trash maybe, that's it. Mm-hmm. Whereas here, like, no, you get 5 abilities and go nuts with it.
Yeah. So ranged warrior, why not? It's great.
Yeah.
And if it plays well and feels well, then.
Well, yeah, it's great.
Of course.
But we'll have to see. And I'm gonna think I'm gonna just stick with one character and just try to get as high as possible.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same right now. And then get out and explore the world.
Yeah.
So get to some new zones we haven't been in before, and hopefully try a dungeon, and hopefully find some explorable areas where we can do some cool stuff.
Get some RP going behind a windmill.
Yeah. Gotta be an epic video. R-rated, of course.
Rated P for pedophiles. God. Just kidding, people. If you want pedophiles, just go play Terra. It's all good.
Oh.
Although that's not... my girlfriend actually mentioned that the female humans look quite... Some of those faces are really teenagey looking. Young teenagers.
No,
as a guy, we don't really look at it that way, I guess, but she's a mother, so I guess that's a different point of view.
Yeah. Well, I was considering just giving them a look next beta, but let's not go down that road.
No.
So, I guess that was more or less the subjects we had.
Yeah.
For
not like much more to talk about. Oh. No. You made a video of Lion's Arch, and one thing I want to do is I want to jump off that diving board, because that is probably the best thing in the game. That is just.
I could see it from a long distance because very very tall tree structure, right? So I was just going up there because I could get a good view from there, and then all of a sudden there's just these guys talking about that you can jump off, and there's these goggles you can put on, and just what, why?
Random.
And yeah, so random.
But that's
so cool, cool.
That's just about this game, though. Like, there's environmental things you can pick up everywhere. Even though if they're useless, you can still do it. Pick up this branch, you can hit someone twice with it until it breaks. But they're gonna have lots of those little mini games in the game as well, like brawl fights and keg something, basketball, whatever they want to call it, hockey, and like the whole circus things. I can only imagine the things that they can do, the mini games and all the little shit. That is gonna be fun.
Yeah.
But
I haven't even the faintest idea of how much of this random stuff there may be in the game. So
yeah, because I had an event as a Norn, and you need to throw snowballs at kids, like random.
Exactly. So I'm just looking forward to being surprised many times.
Indeed.
Again.
So yeah, I guess that will conclude this episode. I hope everyone enjoyed it, and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and like our Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And most of all, leave comments of what you think, and ask us questions either directly in the comments or to our email address, which we will link in the description. And
or give us some input. What did you like the most in the beta? Actually, if you were there, what did you like?
What did you like, and what would you like to see from our future videos? That's the most important thing. So until next time, everyone.
Indeed. See you.
Bye.